before I knew what he was. Chapter 1. It was raining again, the kind of rain that wraps itself around the windows and whispers against the glass, as if trying to be let in. I was sitting on my bed with the lights off, the faint glow of my phone the only thing cutting through the room's darkness. I wasn't doing anything special, just scrolling mindlessly, half reading messages, half listening to the rain breath. And yet, something felt wrong. More like a presence that had been standing just behind my shoulder for days, waiting for me to finally notice it. That strange pressure at the back of my neck, as if someone's eyes were resting there, watching, studying, breathing in sync with me. I kept telling myself it was nothing. Maybe stress, I don't know, fatigue, or too many late nights. But tonight the feeling was sharper and closer. I lowered my phone for a moment, staring at the dark corner of my room across from the bed. I know what you're thinking right now. No, nothing moved. And still, a small shiver crawled up my arms, prickling my skin. And that was when my phone buzzed. I looked down. Unknown number, with no name, no history, no reason. And when I checked, the message was blank. A simple empty bubble. As if someone wanted to speak, but didn't or couldn't. I felt my stomach tighten. My thumb hovered over the screen, but I didn't reply. I didn't delete it either. The emptiness made it worse somehow, like a breath held on the other end. I set the phone aside, exhaling slowly. It was probably a glitch, something explainable. I told myself that even though I didn't believe it, hours passed before I realized how hungry I was. The rain hadn't stopped, but it had softened, turning the world outside into a dim, foggy blur. I thought about ordering food, but changed my mind. The weather felt strangely beautiful and calming, like the world had wrapped itself in a velvet curtain, and pasta sounded perfect. So I grabbed my coat, slipped into my shoes, and stepped into the hallway, pretending I wasn't still thinking about that blank message, pretending I wasn't checking behind me every few seconds, pretending my instincts weren't whispering warnings I chose to ignore. Outside, the air smelled like rain and wet pavement. I walked to the small restaurant 3 blocks away, trying to convince myself the sensation of being watched was only in my head. I ate quickly. The pasta tasted so good, but I barely registered it. My heart was restless. Every time the door opened behind me, I flinched. By the time I stepped outside again, the night had grown darker and the streets felt emptier than before. That was when I heard footsteps behind me, too close. I didn't turn around at first. I just walked faster, pulling my coat tighter. The footsteps matched my pace. I felt the air shift. A presence, more than one. I finally turned around and saw 3 men stepping out from under the roof of a closed shop, smirking like they'd been waiting. One of them whistled. Another laughed. "Where are you going in such a hurry, sweetheart?" one of them said. My breath caught. I didn't bring my pepper spray. I had left my bag at home, thinking I didn't need it for a simple dinner run. I turned and walked faster, but their footsteps grew louder. One of them caught up to me, grabbing my wrist. "Hey, don't be rude." I yanked away, heart hammering, but he grabbed me again, harder this time. The others closed in, surrounding me, blocking the sidewalk. The tallest one shoved me back against the wall, leaning in too close, his breath hot and sour. "Relax," he murmured. "You scared?" I froze, not because of them, because the world suddenly went quiet. The rain muted. The wind stopped. My pulse thundered in my ears. And then even that faded. Something was coming. I felt it before I saw him. And suddenly, a strong arm wrapped around my waist, pulling me out of their grasp and into his chest. "Get behind me," a low voice whispered. I didn't think twice. I moved. He stepped between me and the men, and the air around us shifted. The 3 men hesitated, confusion flickering in their eyes, then fear. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten. He just existed. And they stumbled backward as if something unseen was crushing the air around them. Within seconds, it was over. The men ran. He turned to me, eyes darker than the night. "Hide," he said quietly. "Now." I obeyed, Slipping behind a dumpster near the alley, my heart wouldn't slow down, and then it was silence. Then footsteps came towards me. I turned, ready to run, but a hand gently caught my arm. It was him, the one who saved me, and his voice brushed against my ear like warm rain. "You're safe now." Chapter 2. He released my arm gently, but the imprint stayed, and for a long moment, neither of us spoke. The alley behind us was a smear of shadows. The streetlights flickered, fighting against the rain, and he, the stranger, the man who appeared out of nowhere, was studying me with eyes far too calm for what had just happened. "Are you hurt?" he asked. His tone was soft, but something underneath it vibrated with intensity, and it made my heartbeat trip. "I don't think so," I said. He nodded once, as if confirming something only he could see. His gaze drifted from my face to the empty street behind me, scanning each corner with unnatural precision, like he wasn't looking for people, but things. Then he turned back to me. "You shouldn't be out here alone." The words should have sounded like a warning. Instead, they sounded like an apology. "I was just getting dinner," I said, arms wrapping around myself. His eyes darkened. "Not tonight." What does that even mean? A gust of wind pushed between us, sending a spray of cold rain across my cheek. He stepped slightly closer, angled his body just enough to shield me from it, without actually touching me. "Let me walk you home," he said. I should have said no. I should have run. But something in his voice dissolved my hesitation. I said, "Okay." We walked, not side by side, not hand in hand. He walked half a step ahead of me, as if guiding me, protecting me, blocking a danger I couldn't see. I watched him carefully. Who moves like that? Who exists like that? "You're staring," he said without looking at me. My heart jumped. "Sorry. Don't apologize." That was the odd part. He didn't sound offended. He sounded pleased. We turned down a narrow street near my building. The rain softened, the lamps dimmed, and the air thickened with something like tension. Not danger, but anticipation. "I didn't get your name," I said quietly. He glanced at me for the first time since we started walking. "You didn't ask." He wasn't teasing me. He was telling the truth, literally. "So, what is it?" He looked forward again. A chill rolled through my body, but before I could question him, we stopped. My building stood in front of us. Then he turned to face me fully. And for the first time, the flickering streetlight caught his eyes just right. They reflected light like an animal's. "Thank you," I whispered. "Go inside," he murmured. "Lock the door." Then he hesitated, just slightly, as if something inside him was pulling forward while something else yanked him back. "If you need me," he began. "How will I call you without your name?" I shouldn't have asked. I don't know why I did. A faint broken smile appeared on his face, like a real ghost. "You won't need to." And then he vanished. I gasped and stumbled forward, scanning the street. Nothing. As if the rain had swallowed him whole, I hurried inside, heart pounding so hard it hurt. And that's when my apartment felt wrong. Too still. Too quiet. I closed my door, locked it, and pressed my back against it, trying to calm my breathing. I pulled out my phone to check the time. A new message waited for me, my number, my own contact. "You shouldn't have met him." My blood turned to ice. I stared at the message until my vision blurred. Then suddenly someone knocked at my door. My heart punched against my ribs. No one should know where I live. No one should be here. I approached the door slowly, my breath caught in my throat. And that's when I heard it. His voice. "Don't be afraid." I froze. How did he get here so fast? I unlocked the door and opened it just a crack. He stood a few feet away, drenched in rain, chest rising with slow, controlled breaths, eyes burning with something intense and unspoken. "You shouldn't be alone," he said softly. I tightened my fingers on the door. "How did you even find me?" He stepped back as I requested earlier, showing he wasn't a threat, but even from a distance, his presence wrapped around me like heat. "I meant what I said," he continued. "You won't need to call me." The hallway lights flickered above us. "But how did you get here?" I whispered. He looked at me like he was about to say something impossible, and then something shifted in his eyes. Fear. "Inside," he said abruptly. "Now. Why? What's happening?" The lights flickered again. He stepped closer instinctively, shielding me with his body. "Something followed you home." My breath snapped. "What?" His eyes sharpened, glowing faintly under the dying light. "It wants what you carry." "I'm not carrying anything." "Yes," he whispered, voice trembling with something ancient. "You are?" A cold wave swept down the hall. Something invisible pressed against the air. Thick, heavy, wrong. My phone buzzed violently in my hand. Another message. Sent from nowhere. "Run!" The hallway light burst in a flare of sparks. He grabbed my arm, pulling me behind him. "Don't move," he breathed. "And don't look." "What is it?" I whispered. He stared down the dark hall. "It's who?" A shape shifted in the shadows. A presence. A hunger. And that's when he said it. The sentence that changed everything. "You're not safe. And neither am I." Chapter 3. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt it again. The presence from the hallway, the cold heaviness pressing against the air, the sense of being hunted. When morning came, the rain had finally stopped, but the sky was still grey, heavy with clouds that looked like bruises. I tried to act normal. I made coffee. I took a shower. I pretended my apartment didn't feel different, but every reflective surface, the bathroom mirror, the window next to my bed, even my phone screen, showed me something was wrong. So I walked outside hoping the air would clear my mind. It didn't. It was only when I turned the corner onto a quiet street that I felt it. That same sinking pressure behind me. I spun around. Nothing. I exhaled shakily and kept walking. Faster this time. "You shouldn't ignore your instincts." I gasped and turned. It was him, standing there like he had always been there. "You need to stop doing that," I breathed. "Doing what?" Appearing out of nowhere. His gaze softened and then darkened. "You were being followed." My stomach dropped. By who? He stepped closer, his eyes searching mine. "Tell me what you felt this morning." I hesitated, but lying felt pointless. He seemed to know when I did. I kept seeing something in reflections, just a shape, like a shadow. His expression shifted into something sharp. "It's getting stronger." "What is?" "The thing that wants you." He started walking, and instinctively I walked with him. "Why me?" I asked softly. He didn't answer. "Tell me, please." "It sensed you the moment I did." "That doesn't explain anything," I whispered. He exhaled slowly, a sound filled with centuries of restraint. "You carry something rare and old. A mark that shouldn't exist anymore." "On my body?" "No, in your blood." My chest tightened. "What does that even mean?" He finally met my eyes. "It means you are not just being watched, you're being hunted." "Yeah, just like what I thought." The street grew colder and the sky dimmed unnaturally, as if something was leeching the light out of the day. He sensed it first. "Stay close to me," he murmured. I felt it then. A pressure behind us, heavy, slow, deliberate and desperate. I turned and froze. A darkness was forming at the far end of the road. It was like a shape without bones or form, moving with only instincts that made my skin crawl. "What is that?" I asked. He stepped in front of me again. A hunger. The shadow surged forward as fast as it can. I gasped and stumbled back, but he caught my hand instantly. The moment his skin touched mine, the air around us snapped. Like an invisible tension wire pulled tight, the shadow suddenly vanished. I felt like it just ran off, scared of something. "It's scared of you," I whispered. "It should be." I trembled, gripping his arm. "Tell me what you are," I begged. "Please, I need to know." He looked at me. His eyes softened, then darkened, then softened again, tortured by something internal. "If I tell you," he whispered, "you'll never look at me the same." I stepped closer without meaning to. "You're wrong." A breath hitched in his chest. It was the first truly human sound I had heard from him. "I'm not who you think," he whispered. "Then tell me who you are." For a moment, I thought he would. His gaze dropped to my mouth. Something ancient burned behind his eyes. Then he stepped back abruptly, breaking the moment. "Not here," he murmured. "Not like this." "Then when?" "When you're ready to see what I really am." We stood there in the silence of the dim street, the world still trembling from whatever had just happened. He took one step toward me, lifting his hand as if to touch my cheek, then stopped himself. "You're changing," he whispered. "What do you mean?" "You're starting to feel the mark. The connection." He swallowed. "The bond." "What bond?" His eyes locked on mine with pain, unable to hide anymore. "The reason I can't stay away from you." My breath caught sharp in my throat. The sky above us rumbled. He stepped back into the shadows. "I'll find you tomorrow," he said. "But..." Before I could say anything, he just disappeared, and I was left alone on the street, facing the truth he wouldn't say out loud. He wasn't avoiding the question because he was dangerous. He was avoiding it because he was dangerous to me. Chapter 4. I tried to convince myself I was fine, but whatever was happening to me, it was already beginning. Around noon, when the rain started again, there was a knock at my door. I froze. And then I heard him. Again. "Open the door," he said. His voice was low and controlled, but this time laced with something new. Urgency. I opened it. He stood there soaked from the rain, eyes darker than I'd ever seen them, hair dripping, chest rising in sharp breaths like he'd been doing something dangerous seconds ago. "You have to come with me," he said. "No explanation," I whispered. "If I explain here, it will come for you." "It?" My stomach tightened. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. "No more running," he said. "No more half-truths. You deserve to know." Then he locked the door, not normally, but with a slow turn, as if sealing us into a moment we couldn't undo. And then he faced me fully. For the first time, truly vulnerable. "I should have told you earlier," he began. "But I didn't want you to fear me. Not before you understood." "Understood what?" "That I'm not here to hurt you." A pause. "That I never could." He took a breath. "I'm not human." For me, the words didn't fall like a confession. They fell like a truth he'd carried too long. My breathing hitched. He stepped closer, close enough that I felt the heat from his chest. "I don't breathe like you. I don't age like you. I don't bleed like you. And the thing in the shadows," he whispered, "it's hunting you because of me." "Why?" My voice cracked. He lifted his hand, slowly, and placed his palm against my cheek. "When I touched you that night," he said, "I felt it. The bond." His thumb brushed my skin. "You're marked by my presence, my power, my bloodline." "And what does that make me?" I whispered. His eyes softened with something I didn't expect. Desired. A shiver crawled up my arms. "And what does it make you?" His voice dropped, barely a breath. "Yours." My knees almost buckled, but before I could speak, the lights flickered violently. He tensed. "It found us." The air thickened, turning cold and metallic. This time I saw the shadow clearly, not a blur or a mirage, but a shape forming in the corner of my apartment. It slithered up the wall like liquid darkness. He moved instantly, stepping between me and the entity. "You want her?" he said, voice dropping into something deadly. "Come through me." The shadow hissed, a sound that made my bones vibrate. The lamps shattered. The curtains blew open. The temperature dropped to freezing. He fought it, violently, inhumanly, and beautifully. And for the first time, I saw his hunger. His fangs, sharp and gleaming, flashed as he tore the shadow's form apart like smoke in his hands. The creature screeched, dissolving into cold mist. And then, Silence. The kind of silence that leaves your heart exposed. He turned back to me, chest rising in controlled breaths he didn't technically need. "I didn't want you to see that," he whispered. I approached him slowly. "You saved me," I said. "I endangered you first," he replied softly. "My presence awakened the mark in your blood, and now everything that hunts my kind hunts you." "So what am I supposed to do?" His voice broke. "Choose whether to stay in your world." He stepped closer, eyes deep with centuries of longing. "Or step into mine." My heart hammered. "And if I choose neither," I whispered, "you won't survive the next full moon." His honesty shook me. He lifted a hand, touching my cheek with trembling fingers. "If you choose me," he said, voice low and trembling, "I will protect you from everything that wants you." His expression turned devastating. "Your life will never belong only to you again." I felt the weight of destiny pressing in from all sides. If I choose you, then what happens to me? He closed his eyes for one agonizing second, and when he opened them, they gleamed like ancient stars. "That is the question only you can answer. What would you have chosen?" Like, comment, and subscribe for the next gem.